Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever known, your life, your surroundings, your experiences, is part of a grand illusion. What if the reality you think you know is not the ultimate truth, but merely a reflection of a deeper, hidden layer? The Bajan mystic and writer Neville Goddard believed just that. He spoke of a world where our thoughts and consciousness create the reality we live in, a simulation of sorts powered by our imagination. But here's the most extraordinary part. Goddard didn't just say we were trapped in this simulation, he also provided a way out. Are you ready to exit the simulation? Imagination creates reality. You've come to the right place. In his teachings, Neville Goddard emphasized one fundamental truth: imagination creates reality. He wasn't just speaking poetically, he meant this literally. The world you experience is not some external, rigid thing. It is shaped, molded, and continually created by the power of your thoughts and imagination. This idea aligns with ancient spiritual traditions, where it is often said that the outer world is a reflection of the inner. But Goddard took this further. To him, imagination was the ultimate creative force, a divine power we all hold but often don't realize. The simulation Goddard described isn't like something out of a sci-fi movie with advanced technology and virtual realities. No, it's subtler and more intricate. The world we perceive is a projection of our inner beliefs, assumptions, and desires. You are not just living in a simulation, you are actively generating it with your thoughts every second of every day. You create your simulation. What you see, touch, and experience is a reflection of your inner world. The limits you face, the opportunities that come your way, and even the people in your life, all of it is shaped by your internal landscape. The question now becomes, how do you exit this simulation? To answer this, we must first understand what Goddard meant by the word exit. For him, exiting didn't mean physically leaving the world we live in, but rather transcending the limitations imposed by the false perceptions we've created. The exit is a shift in consciousness, a realization that we are more than the roles we play in this simulation. It's about waking up to the truth that you are the creator, not the creation. Goddard's approach, however, places the power of awakening squarely in your hands. Unlike philosophies that suggest detachment or renunciation of the material world, Goddard taught that the key to exiting the simulation lies in embracing your divine imagination. You must understand that the world is not happening to you. You are happening to the world. The external reality is merely a reflection of what you hold within. Let's explore this further by diving into one of Goddard's most famous teachings, the power of assumption. The power of assumption. He believed that your assumptions, the beliefs you hold about yourself and the world, shape the experiences you encounter. If you assume scarcity, the world will mirror that back to you. If you assume abundance, opportunities flow your way. The exit from the simulation begins with this realization. What you assume to be true will become your reality. Imagine you're in a dream. In the dream, everything seems real. The people, the places, the events. You react to them as if they are outside of your control. But what if, in that dream, you suddenly realize that you're dreaming? What if, instead of merely reacting to what's happening, you start shaping the dream itself? This is what Neville Goddard meant by exiting the simulation. You realize that the world you're experiencing is as malleable as a dream. And the moment you take conscious control of your thoughts and assumptions, you begin to reshape it. One of the most powerful techniques Goddard taught to access this creative force is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He instructed his students to imagine their desires as if they had already come true. But it's not just about visualizing, it's about feeling the reality of your desire. In the quiet moments before sleep, when your mind is most receptive, Goddard encouraged his followers to immerse themselves in the feeling that their dreams had already been realized. This simple yet profound practice allowed people to step into a new state of being, aligning their inner world with the outer reality they wished to create. The beauty of Goddard's approach lies in its simplicity. There are no complicated rituals or esoteric practices required. It all comes down to one thing: perception. When you perceive your thoughts closely, become aware of your assumptions, and most importantly, realize the power you hold to change them, you'll start improving your life. This is how you begin to exit the simulation, by consciously choosing what you will believe, what you will imagine, and what you will feel. However, while you create your own simulation, let's remember that your mind is also influenced by many external factors outside of your reach. There are forces in the world that benefit from you remaining trapped in the simulation. Belief systems. These forces, often referred to as belief systems, aren't shadowy figures in some hidden control room manipulating everything. Instead, they represent the societal structures, limiting thoughts and power dynamics that keep the masses unaware of their own creative power. The elites benefit from them because they understand, even if unconsciously, how to leverage the very principles Goddard spoke of: the power of assumption and the creative force of imagination. The elites maintain the simulation by influencing people's belief systems. They shape the narratives that dominate culture, education, religion, and even politics. Think about how deeply ingrained certain beliefs are in society: that scarcity is inevitable, that only a few can succeed, that control lies outside of oneself. These ideas aren't inherent truths. They are part of the simulation, deliberately crafted and reinforced to keep people trapped in a limited perception of reality. One of the most powerful tools the elites use to maintain this illusion is fear. Fear keeps people rooted in survival mode, constantly looking outside themselves for solutions and security. When people are afraid, they are less likely to tap into their inner power or question the nature of the reality they've been told to accept. Fear is the mechanism that binds people to the material world, focusing all their attention on external threats, struggles, and limitations. Whether it's through media, institutions, or societal norms, fear is systematically used to prevent individuals from recognizing the expansive potential within them. But fear is not the only tool used to maintain the simulation. The very fabric of society, including the economic systems and social hierarchies, is designed to keep people in a state of dependency. By keeping people focused on external success, material gain, and competition, the elites perpetuate the illusion that fulfillment and power come from outside of oneself. This is contrary to what Goddard taught, which is that true power lies within and can only be accessed through a deep understanding of one's own consciousness. Become self-reliant. Goddard's teachings challenge these systems. He spoke of self-reliance, the idea that you are the master of your own fate because you are the one creating your experience. This is a radical notion in a world where so much emphasis is placed on authority, figures, external validation, and societal approval. By teaching people that they can create their own reality through their imagination and assumptions, Goddard was effectively showing a path out of the collective simulation, a path the elites would prefer most never discover. Take a look at modern advertising, for instance. At its core, it thrives on the assumption that people are incomplete without certain products or services. The message is always the same: you are not enough as you are. you need something external to be whole. This keeps people in a perpetual state of longing, always seeking satisfaction outside of themselves. But what if people truly realized that everything they need is already within? What if they understood that they are not passive participants in life, but active creators? The simulation would start to crumble, and the systems of control that rely on external dependency would no longer hold power. Another powerful belief system used by the elites is division. By keeping people divided, whether through political ideologies, social class, race, or religion, they ensure that the focus stays on external differences rather than on the deeper truth that we are all connected by a common creative force. This division serves to distract people from realizing the truth that Goddard so passionately taught, that we are all part of the same divine consciousness, and what we see as separation is just another layer of the illusion. Even the education system plays a role in this simulation. Most traditional education is designed to train individuals to conform to societal expectations, teaching them to think in linear, limited ways. It rarely, if ever, encourages people to question the deeper nature of reality or to explore the true potential of their minds. Instead, it reinforces the idea that success comes from external achievements, often at the cost of creativity and self-awareness. This system keeps the simulation running smoothly by ensuring that individuals remain unaware of their innate power to shape their lives from within. You still have power. Yet, despite all these mechanisms, Goddard reminds us that the power to exit the simulation is still in our hands. Once we see through the illusion, the game changes. The beauty of Neville Goddard's teachings is that they offer a way out for anyone willing to see. He didn't teach rebellion against the external world, but rather a deeper, more profound revolution, the shift in consciousness. By turning inward and realizing that the reality we experience is a direct reflection of our inner state, we begin to dismantle the simulation from the inside out. The moment we reclaim our imaginative power, we stop playing the game according to the rules set by others. We become the authors of our own lives. Open your eyes if you're willing to see. To understand how we can escape the simulation Neville Goddard spoke of, it's helpful to look at the work of another philosopher who in many ways aligns with Goddard's teachings, Plato. Plato, one of the most famous philosophers of ancient Greece, offered a profound metaphor for how most of humanity exists in a state of illusion and how one can break free from it. This metaphor is known as Plato's allegory of the cave. In this allegory, Plato describes a group of people who have been chained inside a dark cave for their entire lives. They are forced to look at a wall where shadows are projected by things passing in front of a fire behind them. These prisoners believe the shadows to be the only reality because they've never seen anything else. They don't know that the shadows are just distorted images of actual objects outside the cave. For them, the shadows are all they know, so they accept them as the truth. This is much like the simulation that Goddard describes. Most people are living in a world of shadows, unaware of the deeper reality that exists beyond what they can immediately see. They believe that life is something that happens to them, something external and beyond their control. But just as in Plato's cave, there's a way out. In the allegory, one prisoner escapes from the cave and for the first time sees the outside world. At first, the light blinds him because he's been in the darkness for so long. But gradually, he begins to see the true forms of objects rather than the mere shadows. This journey from the darkness of the cave to the light of the outside world mirrors the journey Goddard describes. Both Plato and Goddard teach that the world we experience is not the full reality. It's a filtered, limited version of what's actually possible. The shadows in Plato's cave are like the external circumstances in our lives, just reflections of deeper truths. According to Goddard, these deeper truths are shaped by our imagination and our assumptions. When we start to see beyond the surface of things, we realize that our inner world is what creates our outer experience. Plato's allegory also shows that escaping the illusion isn't easy. When the prisoner first leaves the cave, he's blinded by the light, and he wants to return to the comfort of the familiar shadows. Similarly, when we start to question the simulation, it can be uncomfortable. It's much easier to believe that we have no power, that we're just victims of circumstances. But once we begin to understand that we are the creators of our reality, there's no turning back. The light of this awareness may be difficult at first, but it is ultimately freeing. There's more to what you see. There's a moment in life where everything feels like it's falling into place or maybe falling apart. Either way, something shifts, and a small voice inside of you says, "There's more to this." It's a subtle nudge, easy to ignore yet persistent. It calls you to see beyond the surface of your daily routine, beyond the limitations you've accepted for so long. That nudge, that voice, is your inner wisdom, urging you to open your eyes, but only if you're willing to see. Many of us spend our lives looking, but not truly seeing. We get caught in the patterns, the routines, the distractions, and it's easier that way. It's comfortable to stay in the familiar, to believe that life is simply what it appears to be. But deep down, you know there's more. You've felt it in moments of silence, in fleeting thoughts that brush the edge of your consciousness when you least expect it. The truth is always there, waiting for you to open your eyes and see it. Seeing requires willingness, though. It's not about what's happening around you. It's about your readiness to perceive what lies beneath the surface. The world is full of hidden layers, truths, and possibilities that remain unseen until we decide to notice them. Think about how often you pass by something remarkable, caught up in your thoughts, your worries, your plans. It's only when you slow down, quiet your mind, and pay attention that the world begins to reveal itself to you. The same goes for your inner world. So many of us live our lives on autopilot, following the scripts we've been handed, rarely questioning why we do what we do. Why do you believe the things you believe? Why do you assume certain things are impossible while others are within reach? These beliefs, these assumptions shape your reality, but you rarely stop to examine them. To open your eyes is to be willing to question, to see things differently, to recognize that the life you've accepted might be just a fraction of what's possible. There's a quote that says, "The eyes are useless when the mind is blind." To truly see, you must first clear away the fog of your mind, the doubts, the fears, the limiting beliefs that cloud your vision. This doesn't happen all at once. It's a process of peeling back the layers, one by one, and each time you do, your vision becomes clearer. You start to see the connections between your thoughts and your reality. You begin to understand that you are not a passive observer in this life, you are a creator. This isn't about pretending that everything is perfect or ignoring the challenges that come your way. Instead, it's about seeing those challenges for what they really are: opportunities for growth, for learning, for expansion. It's about recognizing that even the obstacles you face are part of the grand design, pushing you to open your eyes wider, to see more clearly, and to embrace your own power. Opening your eyes is a choice. It's a decision to wake up from the dream of limitation and step into the truth of who you are. It's about taking responsibility for your own vision, knowing that you have the power to see beyond the surface, beyond the illusion, beyond the simulation. Imagine walking through a beautiful forest surrounded by tall trees, the scent of pine filling the air. If your mind is preoccupied with worries about the future or regrets from the past, you might miss the beauty around you. But when you practice mindfulness, you allow yourself to immerse in the experience. You feel the ground beneath your feet, hear the rustling of leaves, and notice the sunlight filtering through the branches. This act of being present transforms an ordinary moment into something extraordinary. Mindfulness teaches that by focusing on the present, we can detach ourselves from the clutter of our minds. It's easy to get lost in thoughts of what could have been or what might happen next. However, when we learn to anchor ourselves in the here and now, we gain clarity. We can see things as they truly are, without the distortions of our fears or expectations. This clarity allows us to approach life with a fresh perspective, revealing the hidden beauty and opportunities we often overlook. This practice aligns closely with the idea of impermanence, another key concept in Eastern thought. Everything around us is in a constant state of change. Our emotions, our experiences, and even our physical surroundings are fleeting. By recognizing the impermanent nature of life, we can begin to appreciate each moment for what it is. We learn not to cling to joy or resist sadness, understanding that both are temporary. Instead, we can open our eyes to the richness of each experience, fully engaging with life as it unfolds. Consider the teachings of the Buddha, who encouraged his followers to see the world through clear eyes. He spoke about the Four Noble Truths, which explore the nature of suffering and the path to liberation. One of the truths is that suffering arises from attachment and desire. When we cling too tightly to things, we create our own suffering. By practicing mindfulness and recognizing the transient nature of life, we can let go of our attachments. We learn to experience joy without holding on and face challenges without fear. As you open your eyes to this understanding, you may find it liberating. Instead of being caught in a web of expectations, you become free to embrace whatever comes your way. This freedom is not just about accepting what happens, but actively engaging with it. You respond to life rather than react to it. Your choices become more deliberate, rooted in awareness rather than impulse. The practice of mindfulness also fosters compassion, both for ourselves and for others. When we become aware of our own struggles, we develop a deeper understanding of the human experience. We recognize that everyone faces their own challenges, and this realization helps us connect with others on a more profound level. By opening our eyes to our shared humanity, we create space for empathy and kindness in our interactions. To truly embrace liberation, you need to practice it constantly. This can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to sit in silence, breathe deeply, and observe your thoughts without judgment. You might also find joy in mindful activities such as walking, eating, or even washing the dishes. By immersing yourself in these moments, you begin to train your mind to be present, making it easier to see the beauty and opportunity in everyday life. I hope you found value in Goddard's teachings. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.